Welcome to episode 1 of Weakley County Schools Growing Our Future podcast, a production of Weakley County Schools in partnership with Forever Communications. I'm Erica Moore, Weakley County Schools Director of Communication, and I'm joined here by Weakley County Schools Director of Schools Jeff Cupples.
Good morning.
We are kicking off our inaugural episode. Director Cupples, thank you for being here.
Well, we're excited. We really think this is a great opportunity for our school system and community to grow closer together, and appreciate you for the work you've done, and of course partnership with Forever Communications. And we're just excited about where this is going to go as far as how we let the people in our county know what great things are going on with our school system and our challenges. You know, we want to be transparent, but we're excited to use the podcast as another platform to tell our story.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time to be a part of Weakley County Schools.
Absolutely.
In this podcast, we're going to explore all things Weakley County Schools and public education. From academic achievements to student experience, this podcast will be our place to talk all things school events and activities, all the way to community impact and partnerships. We're going to discuss topics that are important to our district and important to education, and tell the stories and successes that define our district. We're excited to get started talking with you, Mr. Cupples, about our district's mission, vision, and core values, and we're going to talk a little bit about the 24-25 school year and what to expect.
Well, first of all, last year went really fast, so I feel much better, just me personally, prepared as far as the school district going into year 2 and experiences from last year. So year 1 is really the stepping stone into year 2 for me, because initially when I started in this position, when I would have conversations about the county and about the school system, the conversations just kept lacking something. I missed something, and I didn't necessarily stutter around in the conversation, but I just thought, I feel like I need to say something, but I really don't know what to say, whether it was just one-on-one with somebody or even in a group or even during a presentation. And really it dawned on me late in the summer that what we were missing is exactly what is the rock that we're going to stand on. And we were missing, I don't know what our core values are. We've not identified and set that. As in our mission and vision statement, we had one, but it's been there for a while, and that needed to be updated and more direct, I thought. And so really in year 1, we did all of this work with district leadership teams, with our principals, our supervisors, to go what is most important. And as a school district, not that these may shift a little bit at the campus level, boots on the ground at each school, but as a district focus and as a district-wide leadership team, what do we need to focus on? And so that really led to this work for 24-25. And so really last Thursday we had our countywide in-service, and we had an opportunity to share these things out, I guess formally, even though they'd been introduced already to all of our faculty. But after all the work we did last year, we landed on 3 core values. We landed on purpose, connection, and growth. And that's how we were going to brand ourselves. And, it's kind of like Nike, if you want to name yourself after the God of victory, if you're trying to come up with a competition shoe. And so as a school district here, we want to brand ourselves. Everything that we do is going to start with a purpose. And what that really speaks to, that I want our communities to know, is that everything that goes into a school day starts with an intentionality. I mean, there's a reason behind it. It may look like chaos, but it's designed. And, classrooms don't have to be quiet. I read the other day, classrooms from Dr. Johnson, who spoke at our in-service. A classroom should sound like a construction zone. We're building learners. And when they visit campuses, it may look busy, but all of that has an intentionality to it. There's a purpose behind what we do through the standards that we're teaching. And really where this landed too is connection. We want to communicate. This podcast is a way to communicate and connect to our communities. And then we want to be growth-minded. The state has put a lot of emphasis on achievement, and our parents are going to see data that came in during this last round of testing, and they're going to see where their child is as far as achievement. And that's important, because at some point you're going to have to pass a test to get certified, or to get a license in whatever profession they pick. But we want to be growth-based. We want to get better every day. As the book Atomic Habits mentioned, that 1% better every day. We're all capable of that. So we want to be a growth-minded district. And so we landed on those core values. And then as we got that determined first, and you were in a lot of those meetings. We met with our principals, and to our community out there, who I hope, this episode 1, as they dial in and begin to listen and hopefully learn more about our school system. We had over 80 values that we started with, and we went through a process where we vetted each of those with our leadership teams across the district and landed on these 3. And had no idea where we want to go at the end of that session, but I'm proud that they thought, we got to have a purpose about everything we do. We need to connect to our students, connect to our families, connect to each other, connect to the businesses, connect to the communities, and then we need to be growth-minded throughout that process. That we may not get it on day 1, but we're not going to give up. And so I'm excited about where our core values are going to lead us. And you mentioned mission and vision. We tackled that too.
Right.
We went into our mission statement, really focused on, and for those who may not necessarily be dialed into what a mission and vision statement is, your mission statement, and different businesses have these organizations, but it's really what you do every day. I mean, to say that your own mission, a teacher needs to know what that is. So not motivation. Motivation comes from different things. Motivation comes and goes. But to be on mission is about a focus. And so we kind of scratched out what we had, and we went back to work. And through a lot of critiquing, we landed with the mission of Weakley County Schools is to grow the whole child. And we thought that was really important because a child needs to find somewhere to connect, going back to that word connection. And then we need to grow that whole child through direct instruction, quality instruction in Tier 1. And then through that quality instruction, that only will take place in a safe environment. And not just safe from intruders and different things we drill for, but the bullying and harassment, the fact that you feel comfortable in a school. So safe means a lot of different things to different people sometimes. And then we had the word encourages. We want to be positive approach. School and people think school is school because it's work, it's a chore. But what you get out of school is the education, which opens up all the doors moving forward. And so when we say growing our future, we're talking about that education that you're getting allows your future to grow and prosper. And then the last 2 parts of that mission statement was we feel like the students have to own it. Education is one of those areas where everybody I work with is, they're a learned individual. They've all got college degrees and they're experts in their crafts. They can't learn it for the student. It is a 2-way road. They've got to teach, but they've got to want to learn. So we thought student ownership is something that we've got to pay attention to combat some apathy that we see sometimes in modern society. And then the final piece was pursuit of purpose. You may graduate and you get your diploma. We want to work on when, if I hand you a diploma and then after graduation I say, what are you going to do?
Right.
And if that answer is, I don't know, then we want to have a plan for that graduate. Trade school, college, straight to the workforce, whatever is good for that child. So we want to pursue a purpose. So all of that landed on the mission of Weakley County Schools is to grow the whole child through quality instruction in a safe environment that encourages student ownership and learning in the pursuit of their purpose. And we thought, in a nutshell, that's what we do every day. So to be mission focused, to walk in the door, that's what we're about.
That's phenomenal. I think that we were so intentional with the way that we all crafted that statement. But how is it different from our vision?
That's a good question, and people do get that confused. Right. I mean, we're going to be putting this podcast on YouTube, and a lot of people go to YouTube to figure out what's the difference between a mission and a vision statement. Right. The mission, the best way that I can describe it, it's what you're doing now. It's what you do every day, your own mission. The vision is exactly, where there is no vision, the people perish. And so we want to cast a vision to say this is where we're going, and this is what we want to be. So we tackled that project as well in year 1, and as we go into year 2, what our district-wide leadership came together with is Weakley County Schools will be a state model. And I emphasize that phrase because initially when we looked at that, we wanted to be a regional model. We even had the screen up here and we had regional model. And then when we began to look at our data and look at how we perform, we're already a regional leader in Northwest Tennessee.
That's right. So
we thought, we're not casting a large enough vision. So we actually scribbled that out and went to a state model of a traditional public schools. And, we're going to be tackling a lot of topics on this podcast, things that are going on, but also potentially affect our school system. And the fact that we felt it was important enough to put the word traditional tells you what's going on in education right now. But we've got community-based schools, and they work. And so we thought that was important, that we want to maintain being in the future a traditional public school where students find their purpose, build connections, and grow into graduates, because that's the ultimate goal, who take ownership, communicate effectively, show respect, think critically, and are resilient, the ability to bounce back. And if nothing else from COVID, during the shutdown and how to have school during the pandemic, we've learned that, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but you've got to be willing to keep coming back and bouncing back. And, every day when those feet hit the floor and you get out of the bed, you got to have a purpose. And so that resilience piece is something we thought was really important. And those last 5 categories really gets into the portrait of a graduate about where we want to go. But the biggest difference between mission and vision, mission is what I'm doing right now while I'm in my classroom. Vision is where we want to be when we look out in the future, and that's being a state model.
We are already a state model, and that's incredible.
Amen. Keep preaching.
I love it.
Yep.
So, this is such an exciting school year us kicking this off with this podcast. Right. So when we're talking about the 24-25 school year, what are some of the things that we can look forward to? What's exciting? What's new? Well,
one thing that's really coming out of these core values is, when you look at our mission and vision, what do we really want? And the ultimate goal is to walk across the stage and earn your diploma, right? And I use the word earn, not give. You got to earn your diploma, and that's that student ownership. And so as we roll into this year, one thing that our teachers and our principals are going to start looking at is, again, setting up this year in year one, because you had a big hand in this, so I appreciate the work that you did, is we sit down in a program called Director's Cup, where we met with mayors and we met with business leaders, we met with our law enforcement officers, we met with various groups, but we also did a big survey, and I think we had over 300 responses in the initial put out. And what does a Weakley County graduate need to look like? And out of that work from last year, we're going into this year and we're going to start tackling what it looks like. And now we know. So according to those surveys, what our citizens and our teachers and the leaders in our community and the families in our community, they believe that a graduate needs to have ownership. So there's that word again going out of our mission and vision. They need to think that a graduate can think critically, because you're going to have to do that. Maybe balancing a budget and what I need to cut, but you got to think critically as an adult. You got to communicate effectively. And this podcast is going to be a way that we also begin to do that. You got to be resilient. So you're seeing that word again because we put it in our vision statement. And then the last thing is it's just a growing problem in society, not just Weakley County, but we want our graduates to be able to show respect.
Right.
And be respectful and treat people right and be a good human. And so those 5 things, out of all the categories we looked at, those were the top 5 trending things. So we're going to tackle those aspects in 24-25, and it's going to be different because showing respect and communicating effectively looks different in kindergartner than it does for a sophomore. And so our teachers within the appropriate grade bands are going to take those 5 and begin to say, what does that look like in our building? And how do we teach that? Because you're really crossing a line here, because we're not teaching a standard.
Right.
This is more than an academic standard. This is about how you treat people. And but I definitely agree with it, and I think our people across the county agree with these 5. And so we always want to make data-driven decisions as educators, and the data shows that these 5 things is what we think a graduate needs to be. So a portrait of a Weakley County graduate is going to look like these 5 things, and we're going to begin to retool and re-gear programs and thoughts and actions to hopefully achieve these things as we move forward throughout the year and in the years to come.
This is such a deliberate way of baking these 5 attributes into what we do every day, in every classroom, whether it's teachers and students with communicating with other students. It's phenomenal work, I think, by all of our leadership.
Well, and another thing with that work, a lot of our teachers are already doing this, whether it be Class Dojo or some kind of bulletin board where a kid can earn a star. Right. There's a program they're tracking, because what gets measured gets increased, right? And so how do you communicate effectively? How do you be resilient? How do you show respect? Well, that's one thing that our teachers are already doing, and maybe we call it behavior tracking, but we've got to find a way to track these things to be able to know if they're on track to graduate and come across the stage, get the diploma, shake a hand, move the tassel, and be able to display evidence of those 5 things, in addition to their 22 credits.
Right.
So it's a big undertaking, but it's definitely worth it, and I think we need it. It's important work.
I agree wholeheartedly. I love the idea of it. Nothing stops at graduation. We don't. Our students. We're with our students for a lifetime.
That's true. That's true.
What do you think that our citizens of our county need to know about our school system?
Well, that's a great question. I guess I would share out some things that, for the first time in a while, we brought all of our teachers back for one of their in-service days as a group, and it was a great day, and had a great keynote speaker. But I guess I would share out some of those things that, sometimes we forget how big we are as a district. We know geographically we're a big county, but, we've got approximately 4,000 students. We've got 650 to 700 employees. That changes sometimes. But we've got a large staff across the county. When you look at transportation department, maintenance department, nutrition department, a lot of people just think teachers, but our EAs, it takes a village, and it takes everybody. And so we've got a lot of people who work for Weakley County Schools. We got over 1 million square feet, and that spans over 12 campuses. When our Wayne Reynolds, our director of maintenance, when he shared how many HVAC units we've got that we're trying to keep up and how many filters we got to change, like it logistically kind of jumps out at you that, it's a big undertaking. But man, it's like I said, it's important work, and it's worth it. We've got a budget that's roughly $45 million that we use, each year. That's about, 74% is state, and about 26% of that is, comes from local sources. So we've got, a bigger budget, and then when you just talk about the size of the school system, we are the largest in West Tennessee outside of Shelby County and Madison County. So we're a large school system, but we're community school based. And I think that's the secret sauce that is getting us some results, is that we are community based. People can feel part of that school. And then we have open enrollment within the county. So, if that recipe is not working for you, we've got another school system that you can transfer to. And there's procedures around that, but we do have open enrollment within the county. And but that community feel, that traditional public school, I think, and that just coincides with the research that says that it works. I would also want them to know, academically, we're strong. We're some of the data just came out from TN.gov is, we're the 6th best academic county, which is great news, because this past year our academics improved, but our poverty also went up. So despite some challenges and barriers that our students are facing, they're still learning in the classroom. And that just speaks to the work, the intentionality, the purpose that our teachers have. We've got 15 different pathways for career technical education. We're getting more kids involved with work-based learning where they're not in a traditional classroom. They're actually locked in with an internship. Forever Communications, we've talked with them about, if you've got a kid that wants to go into that particular field, and, in terms of the technology side of it, or the editing side, the broadcasting side, whatever it may be, let's connect, right? And let's get them off campus where they get a true internship. We've got strong dual enrollment programs. We've got kids in the county who are graduating with 30 hours of dual enrollment. So if you are college bound, you can get a great jump on that.
It's a big deal.
Save some money, absolutely. New York Times had us listed as one of the only counties, locations in the, not state, in the country that had fully recovered from COVID learning loss, as they phrased it. Again, speaks so much to what Mr. Frazier and the district had done through COVID. We're improving our facilities. This morning I was out touring schools and just checking, the first day of school, and I was looking at the new STEM lab that's being put in at Westview. It's looking great. And so that ESSER grant, the ISM grant we've got has allowed us to improve facilities. Playgrounds look so much better around the county now. We began the year fully staffed. That's a blessing. And thanks to Ms. Foster and HR staff making sure that, we were able to pull that off. We've had one of the lowest turnover rates, so I'm excited about what we're going to pull off this year, because there's not as much retraining going on because everybody's back, and stability is the key to success. But those are some things about just the county as a whole. But update wise, some of the things I shared, and I'll just mention these. Number one, we've spent well over $250,000 on door security. Last year there was a new law where exterior doors have to stay locked. So we're investing in that to make sure our SROs and our administration knows that if a door opens on campus, we know. And so we're excited about that. We'll be switching over to ID badges that will scan in and out for our professional staff, our teachers. So we're wrapping that up. We had some HVAC work done. We're not quite done with that project yet, but Dresden Elementary, Westview, got some of that work done this summer. We'll have to complete next summer most likely, but we're excited that we're finally coming off the older chiller systems, and each classroom will have its own unit. We're updating phone systems this year, VoIP technology, voice over internet protocol to help out with that. We're increasing cybersecurity to make sure our network is safe. That's already going into effect. We got a new cleaning service this year. I think our families, as registration and first day of school, if they've gone into our buildings, our floors are looking better. They've already made a great stride there, so thanks to Staff EZ and the work they've done. New GPS systems going in on our buses. We're going to pilot that with Gleason School first before we go countywide. We're starting an early family child resource center so we can begin to connect with families before they even turn 5 and start kindergarten to make sure they're ready and regulated for kindergarten. And then, of course, we're continuing to expand and work on middle school CTE. So there's a lot going on.
Great things.
It's exciting to see.
I'm just absolutely thrilled to hear about all of the future podcast episodes we're also going to have about many of these topics. This is phenomenal.
Yep.
What else can we add, or you have the final word?
Well, I think one, as you view this, we won't just necessarily be the features all the time. We'll eventually, have guests and experts on, but tell others about it because we want this. I enjoy having conversations about our county, and there's a lot that's going on in our county that people need to know about and about our schools. And this is an opportunity for us to do that. So, each one tell one. So let them know, hey, this is an opportunity or platform to go get some information. We definitely appreciate all of our communication partners out there. But we're excited about this. And I guess the last word is we've got some great things going on in the county. And this, applying for this job is one of the best decisions I've ever made. And we've got great people to work with. And be patient with us. Obviously, school's just starting. So make sure all your paperwork, your contact information, as I visited some schools this morning, that was one of the things that we've already seen. We can't get a hold of this parent. So if you're out there and you're watching, please make sure all your contact information is up to date. Mm-hmm. Be mindful as you travel around this first week or two, buses. There's a lot of buses back on the roads, car lines at arrival and dismissal. So be patient with us. And I promise you our purpose is true in its intention, and if we're not getting it right, be patient. We're definitely willing to work to do it.
That's right. So. Your passion is clear, and Weakley County Schools is very fortunate to have you.
Well, thank you. Same to you, and we've got a great team.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
We absolutely do. So, as we wrap up our first episode, we do want to give you a sneak peek of what's to come. We have some future episodes. We'll be joined by a variety of guests, including teachers and faculty, staff, local stakeholders, and leaders in business and industry. We have elected and appointed officials we'd love to invite on, and leaders in public education from across the state. We'll dive into a wide range of topics. We'll talk about policies, legislation, and we'll talk about public education in every aspect that we can, including rural districts just like ours. We're going to discuss the path to graduation, our career discovery options for our students, and we're going to talk about the latest trends in instruction and curriculum. There's no shortage of topics where we can talk about our district's mission, vision, and the core values of purpose, connection, and growth that we instill in our students and in our classrooms every day. You can find us on demand, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. Join us next time for more insightful conversations on the Weakley County Schools Growing Our Future podcast. Thanks so much.